Welcome to Thinking is Contagious. I read this morning an op-ed by Newt Gingrich on Fox. And granted, Newt Gingrich is very conservative, but I found it pretty interesting, fact-filled, interesting. And he was comparing the Democrats to Lion King, that musical. And he really started to focus with Mayor Ted Wheeler, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. 90 days, as we know, more than 90 days of violence, pillaging, violence, people getting hurt, people getting killed in his city. And a city with the most active Antifa faction in the nation, a city where stores have been invaded, buildings burned, looting, pillaging, police injured, civilians killed. Portland city government and Oregon state government have been incompetent and ineffective in their handling, he says, which is putting it mildly. The Mayor Wheeler has been a laughingstock, a joke. Even as he goes out and defends these criminal thugs, they're holding sit-ins in his condo, the lobby of his condo, ridiculing him, calling him a white supremacist, demanding that he cut police funding in half, demanding that he defund the police department, threatening to attack him and his family as he sits there and defends them with his feeble efforts at trying to be politically correct. Well, on Saturday, a Trump supporter was killed by one of these left-wing activists. And there's audio, which I'm sure you've heard, of Antifa leader celebrating the murder, calling him a Nazi, and that he got what he deserved. And that's being broadcast. You hear complaints about how the conservative side is bashing the Democrat-run cities and their lack of effectiveness. Well, liberals and the crux of the story that Gingrich, or the op-ed that Gingrich wrote, is that it's a constant theme among liberals, their inability to stand up, to handle these types of affronts and attacks to American citizens' liberties and freedoms and safety. Okay? How does Wheeler respond? He says he responds with a tirade against Trump, telling him to stay out of Portland, not to come. Thankfully, President Trump ignores the insignificance of Wheeler, and he'll be there today to help put an end to this. And Gingrich goes on and really points out how this is a recurring theme, this weakness, and ties it into Biden, Obama Biden, but Biden as the vice president, with several examples. Faced with a predatory dictatorship in Syria, Obama Biden administration drew the so-called red line in the sand. And when Bashar al-Assad crossed the line, what did Obama do? He backed off, changed where the line was, bowed his head and cowered. Faced with ISIS, what did Obama do? He called them the JV, sloughed them off, saying they weren't significant. There was much ado about nothing. Okay? As ISIS basically took over Syria and Iraq, and we saw the results of that. And that was Obama saying, they were the JV, they're insignificant, they're nothing to worry about. Very interesting. Obama Biden strategy in Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua. What did that do? Added fuel to the fire in Cuba, emboldened and permitted, actually, birthed Venezuela, and Nicaragua. 100%. Venezuela's situation today lies squarely on the lap of Obama Biden. Biden placated China. China, who's our enemy now. Now Biden's tough on China. Biden was sent to make speech after speech praising China. All the while, General Secretary Xi Jinping, what was he doing? Push harder to steal American technology, American secrets, setting up concentration camps in China to handle the dissidents against their communist thuggish regime. Biden praising China and their achievements and their accomplishments as China increased and magnified their military presence and their control of the South China Sea. Praising China as his son, Hunter Biden, got $1.5 billion contract from China. That continued. What about Benghazi? What was the outcome of an American ambassador being killed in Benghazi? The Obama-Biden response to it, initial response was to send the National Security Advisor out to lie to the American people for a week until they could no longer conceal what had occurred, and they had to fess up. Remember Hillary? Hillary with Benghazi? Well, Biden was an integral part of that. The liberal inability, what Gingrich concludes, the liberal inability to deal with predators and evil is how he says that the liberals believe basically that The Lion King was a documentary. I mean, he's being facetious, but look at the results of liberal-led cities. The chaos, the anarchy that exists. Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. The clueless de Blasio in New York City. Wheeler here in Portland. You can go on and on and on. And those are the people that you want to entrust with your public safety. I laugh when I see the Biden signs out on the street, because if Biden was ever elected, eventually you wouldn't be able to have any signs in front of your house, okay? Try putting a political sign in front of your house in Venezuela or in Cuba. Try it. Interesting that even Yahoo, who is a liberal media outlet, there's an article by Rich Lowry today, September 1st. And I'm going to quote a lot of his article here. Until a few days ago, the Democrats were pretending that disorder and violence in American cities did not exist. Now, worried that Biden is on his back foot on the issue, they acknowledge that the rioting, and they're blaming Trump for it. And the point that Lowry brings out, which is very good, is if the Democrats truly believed that, first, if they acknowledged that this was rioting and pillaging, and if they truly believe that the president responsible for BLM, the Black Lives Matter attacks on police, burning buildings, looting, pillaging, that they are acknowledging now was the president's fault, why was there not one mention of it at the DNC? Because the narrative at the DNC was that the progressive narrative was that this was courageous young people rising up against systemic racism. He closes his article by saying, and this is a direct quote, "Everyone knows there are different rules for BLM." Think about that. This is Yahoo. Everyone knows there are different rules for Black Lives Matters. If a conservative movement with the corporate support of Black Lives Matter staged an event featuring a single act of arson, the group would be shunned and its cause would be discredited. That this would never happen to BLM acts as a giant permission slip And it is not Trump writing it, but all the people now blaming him for the rioting. Okay? This is the bottom line. Even an outlet like Yahoo is acknowledging the duplicity, the two-face effort, and where the blame of this really lies. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist, anti-American, violent organization that needs to be stomped out. And I'm going to close with one thought at this point. What is the platform for Joe Biden and the Democrats? What would they be able to go on TV and say about anything if you just took one avenue away from them and told them it is not, you cannot use racism in any of your presentations? Think about it. Think about this. What would they be able to do? What would be their platform? What would be their message? What could they talk to you about if they weren't allowed to put racism into the narrative? I hope that this has caused some thought, and I ask you to please subscribe, send this around, share it with your friends and family. Let's make this November the landslide. People are saying that we're not going to know the result of the election immediately. It's going to take a while. Please, let's make them eat their words. Let's make them eat their words. Let's let them get that very night have to call President Trump reelected. Go out in force. Vote. Make sure that you get your friends and family to vote. Turn votes. Talk to people. Open their eyes. That's what this is all about, what I'm doing. And I can tell you that it's worked on a couple of people that I was surprised because they were staunch liberals that have turned the page and have come to the realization. Work for this. Subscribe. Share. Thank you for your support. Have a good day.